Hello, everyone. Um, these are the notes for transformations of linear functions. And we're going to start by looking at the linear parent function. The linear parent function is given by the equation f of x equals x. All right, this is function notation. All right, and it's basically y equals x, but we're saying f of x equals x. If you look at the slope, it has a slope of 1 over 1, which is just 1. The x-intercept is at 0, 0, and also the y-intercept is at 0, 0. And since y equals x is the function, then points have the same x and y values. So these are just examples: 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, etc., on forever. Also, you could do -1, -1, -2, -2, on forever. Basically, I just want to illustrate that y equals x. The x and y coordinates are the same on the linear parent function. This is the linear parent function here, okay? Moving on, we're talking about transformations, and that's just a fancy word for saying we're moving the line, all right? There's 3 types of transformations, and this is also going to come up in geometry, by the way. The first transformation is called a translation or a shift, all right? And we're going to focus on vertical shifts. There's also horizontal, but we're not going to do that right now. Vertical shifts, basically, okay, so when I pick g of x, g is just a name. I could have picked h, m, q, whatever. But it's created by taking the original parent function f of x, and we're going to add, sorry, that should have been a plus sign, add a displacement. All right, and displacement means we're just going to slide. Translation shifts are just slides, okay? So basically, if d, our displacement, is positive, the graph is going to go, it goes up. But if d is negative, then the graph goes down. Okay? So let's take a look. Down here at the bottom, g of x equals f of x plus 5. Well, it says plus 5, so it's going to go up. The line will shift or slide up. But if it says g of x is f of x minus 5, it's going to go down. This one will go down because it says minus. This one will go up because it says plus. Now, let's actually illustrate this. So I'm going to go to Desmos, and you're always going to type in the parent function, f of x equals x. I'm going to hit the home key. All right. All right, so let's do g of x equals f of x plus 5. Oops, I hit equals. Plus 5. All right, and we see here that the black line is the parent function shifted up. It has the same slope. It's parallel. It's been shifted up. All right. Let's do another one. Let's do lowercase h of x equals, again, the parent function f of x. Now we're going to do minus 5. Notice how it has been shifted or translated down. We slid it, all right, down -5 because it says minus 5. So hopefully that'll illustrate what a translation, which is our first transformation, looks like. All right, now let's see, where was I? Now we're going to move on to the next transformation, which is rotation. All right, so you think of rotation is like spinning or turning. All right. So what this looks like is that g of x is we're going to multiply f of x by a. Now, you could also put the a inside the parentheses with the x, but it's basically multiplication. And here's the pro tip. A is actually just the slope, all right? So if a is greater than 1, then the graph is going to become steeper. Okay, so to illustrate, if we multiply the parent function by a, it will become greater. However, if a is smaller than 1 but still greater than 0, then the graph becomes less steep. What does that look like? Well, basically, it's going to be below the parent function. So if a is greater than 1, it's going to be above the parent function, closer to the y-axis. Remember, lines closer to the y-axis are steeper. But if a is less than 1 but greater than 0, it's going to be below the parent function, closer to the x-axis. Remember, lines closer to the x-axis are less steep. All right, so let's take a look at some examples. So we have 5 multiplied by f of x. That's going to be more steep. Okay, but if you have 0.25 f of x, it's going to be less steep because 0.25 is less than 1, but it's still positive. It's still greater than 0. We notice the 8 is inside the parentheses. That's okay. It's still more 3/4, 3/4 is less. 3/4 is less than $1. It's less than 1. But 7/4 is more than 1. All right. To illustrate, let's try a few. Again, keep that parent function. So we're going to try g of x. Let's see, 5f of x. So g of x equals 5f of x. All right, notice how it is steeper. It is above the parent function, closer to the y-axis. All right, closer to the y-axis means steeper. Let's see, I think we had 0.25. Yes, 0.25 f of x. All right, notice how our green line is less steep. It's below the parent function. All right, so hopefully that illustrates rotations. It's a turning. It's a spinning like the spokes in a bicycle wheel. All right, that leads us to the final transformation, which is reflection. And this one is where g of x, basically you add a negative, make it negative. Okay? And it's a reflection. It's flipping over the y-axis, okay? We're reflecting over the y-axis. So basically you put a negative in front of everything. Down here, I will point out we have some combo where it's a reflection and a translation. You can have combination as well.